And just like that, the truth finally comes out. Sort of. They kind of mention it and they kind of don't. Just see how the article plays out, because it obviously it's from Fox News, but just you'll see what I'm saying. We all know that all these protests have led to spike in the coronavirus. Okay? But they didn't want to mention that. They said the virus doesn't affect people who are protesting. It only affects people who are protesting the right things, not the lockdown. If you're protesting George Floyd murder and all that, that's okay. The virus doesn't affect you. Obviously, I'm being facetious, tongue-in-cheek, but that's how it was. Anti-police demonstrations may have sparked new coronavirus cases. Some cities now acknowledge. Of course, but in New York City, de Blasio office says, we do not believe there's been a resurgence in cases related to the protests. Well, if you did say there was, you would be embarked or more protests thrown upon you, so of course you're not going to say it. Several big city mayors and top officials are acknowledging that weeks of anti-police protests and riots may have contributed to surging coronavirus rates weeks after Democrats and even some epidemiologists. Damn it. Several big city mayors and top officials are acknowledging that weeks of anti-police protests and riots may have contributed to surging coronavirus rates. No kidding. Weeks after Democrats and even some epidemiologists openly encouraged Black Lives Matter allies to demonstrate in the streets. Imagine that. You're told you can't go to church because the coronavirus is going to hurt you. But you can go out and protest, that's fine. In public statements and interviews with Fox News this weekend, officials in LA, Seattle, Miami-Dade County have indicated that some link between protests and new cases was at least possible. Still, many officials have declined to comment, of course they would, when contacted by Fox News this weekend, and others, including Mayor Bill Wilhelm, disputed that the protests had caused any issue. Of course not. Again, you say they cause an issue, and then they burn your house down. Based on our health indicators, which measure hospital admissions, number of people in ICU, and percent of New Yorkers testing positive, we have seen no indication of uptick in any cases, Avery Cohen, de Blasio's deputy press secretary, told Fox News. WNBC reported on July 4th that over the course of the week, New York's daily death toll has stayed constant, but its percentage of positive coronavirus cases has rose 4 days straight. This is where I play that thing. Things that make you go, New York City, though, has seen cases steadily decreasing over the last few months, while LA, Seattle, Miami have seen recent spikes. Responding to the report, Cohen asserted that the number of New Yorkers testing positive remains at a steady 2%, far below the national average, and that at this time we do not believe there's been a resurgence in cases related to protests, which reached their peak over a month ago. Really? You need to look outside the window there, Cohen. Cohen's public Twitter feed explicitly praised the Black Lives Matter movement, of course they would, and encouraged mass protests. And again, of course they would. On June 28th, one June 28th post tweeted by Cohen read, "Are you ready to flood the streets to fight for Black Lives Matter and against police brutality and reclaim our roots of pride? Join us at 1 p.m. at Foley Square." Imagine that. You had to have religious leaders take you to frickin' federal court so they could open up their church because you blocked them down, but then you say this crap. Frickin' hypocrites. New York officials were previously less tolerant of mass gatherings, at least for certain religious groups. In April, de Blasio told the Jewish community that the time for warnings has passed after he said funeral gathering had violated social distancing guidelines. They're in D.C. You think they're socially distancing right now? Let's see. No mask. No mask. Probably no mask. No mask. No mask. No mask. So yeah, they're not social distancing. but they're protesting, but that's okay because they pass through a special membrane, unlike the rest of us rubes out there. New York's current position differs markedly from assessments by officials in LA and elsewhere. Last Wednesday, Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti acknowledged that public protests were likely causing a coronavirus spike, just 2 days after claiming there wasn't any conclusive evidence showing a connection between the two. De Blasio, like Garcetti, has defended demonstrators, saying they were participating in a historical moment. Just so you know, historical moments, viruses can't kill you or attack you. If it's not a historical moment, watch out. You're in church, they'll kill you. I talked again with Dr. Ferrer about this morning. Garcetti said, referencing to Dr. Barbara Ferrer, the LA County Public Health Director, she does not think some of the spread did come from, she does think some of the spread did come from our protests. It's not the act of protesting that's great. Okay, it's not the act of protesting. That's great. That's a great and American thing to do, no matter what your opinion is. But protesting without maintaining physical distancing, without wearing a mask, without having sanitizer, we just have to be smart. Whether you're at a protest or at home, whether in your workplace or whether you're out shopping, these rules don't change. Right. Are you going to arrest them? No. Cohen responded, Los Angeles is facing a resurgence. We have no such equivalent in New York City. You're a lying dirtbag. New York's governor, however, Andrew Cuomo, in June expressed concerns about the confluence of protests and virus. If you were at a protest, go get a test, please. But last month, after New York City hired 1,000 workers, contact tracers, to conduct contact tracing to monitor the spread of the virus, de Blasio's office said they would not be explicitly asking people if they participated in the BLM demonstrations. Why would you? De Blasio's spokesman at the time said no person will be asked proactively if they attended a protest. Still, Cohen said this weekend that contact tracers were not barred from asking positive cases about attending protests, and that when identifying their close contacts, patients are asked if they attended any large gatherings or events. We remain overcautious, Cohen said, as we continue our phases reopening. We will continue to monitor our indicators closely for any potential resurgence. By contrast, a spokesman for Carlos A. Jimenez, the mayor of Miami-Dade County, told Fox News on Sunday protests were a contributing factor to local coronavirus spikes. So which is it? Guys, liberals, douchebags out there, which is it? Is it contributing or is it not? I say it is, because all I have to do is use the evidence presented to me. You're out there, not social distancing, not wearing a mask. Wearing a mask doesn't really matter. Firebombing, peacefully protesting, burning stuff down, attacking police, throwing bottles of pee, throwing bottles of viscous liquid at police or whatever, and blocking highways and all that. No. We're not contributing to the spike. It's those damn Republicans wanting to go get a haircut and wanting to go practice their religion with other people. No, they're at fault. The mayor had announced a curfew last week after it was determined that roughly 2,300 of Florida's 10,192 new coronavirus infections were originated in Miami-Dade, which a lot of the protests were going on. Meanwhile, Seattle Mayor Jenny Durkin's office directed Fox News to City Health official James Appa, who downplayed the role of protests, of course he would, while still acknowledging they may have played a role in some new cases. May have? No single exposure site has been the primary driver for our increases in cases. Again, Appa's stating that if you're out there protesting, viruses can't get you because viruses know you're doing what's right. But if you're out, having a barbecue with more than 12 people, not protesting, viruses will get you. The mayors of Atlanta, Minneapolis, San Diego, D.C., Oakland, San Fran, Houston, and New Orleans did not return Fox News requests for comment concerning the potential that protests may have led to an increase in coronavirus cases, which they have. Minneapolis mayor and knockoff Justin Trudeau stated, who did not return Fox News' request for comment as to whether he has seen a connection between the protests and coronavirus, had previously warned that in-person worship services would be a public health disaster, disregarding constituents' concerns that he was violating their First Amendment rights. In May, his administration began distributing masks to rioters, even though public gatherings of 10 or more people were ostensibly banned. Frey also allowed a police station to burn, saying it was necessary to protect police and rioters. The mayor of Washington, D.C., Muriel Bowser, who also did not return Fox News inquiries on Sunday, vowed $5,000 fines or 90 days in jail for anyone violating stay-at-home orders. Weeks later, though, Bowser defended the protest. We are giving hundreds of years of institutional blah, 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 blah. People are tired and sad and angry and desperate for change. Only if you're desperate for change, the virus can't get you. But if you're not, watch the hell out. The mayor did not answer Fox News' questions on the spread of coronavirus, but she did deliver emotional remarks on Sunday after an 8-year-old girl was shot and killed on the 4th of July near a Wendy's that became a flashpoint of a recent anti-police protest in the city. That would be the Atlanta's mayor. Enough is enough, Bottom said. Enough is enough. We have talked about this movement that's happening across America, and this movement in time when we have the ears and the interests of the people across the country and across the globe who are saying they want to see change. But the difference in this moment in time with the civil rights movement, there was a defined common enemy. We're fighting the enemy within when we are shooting each other up on the streets. Well said, Miss Bottoms, but a day late and $1 short. She continued, you shot and killed a baby, and there wasn't just one shooter, there was at least 2 shooters, an 8-year-old baby. Child. If you want to take us seriously, you don't want to lose this movement, then we can't lose each other. It has to stop, Bottom said. You can't blame this on the police officers. It's about the police who shot the baby in the car. We're doing each other more harm than any officer on the force. An Atlanta police officer currently faces potential death penalty sentence for killing a black man who attempted to shoot an officer with his own taser at a DUI stop. That officer's stepmother later spoke to Fox News that why she was fired from her job as well. So, in conclusion here, we know all these protests do in fact contribute to the coronavirus spike. And if you don't believe it, then you're a liberal and you're a stupid idiot. You're a dunce, a cretin, a person who cannot take evidence projected to you or given to you over the last month and a half of all the rioting and all the strife, all the burnings and attacks on police, when they said you cannot hang out with your family because it would put them in danger. You can't get a haircut unless you're Mayor Lightfoot. But these protests don't increase the spikes in the coronavirus uptick. You're full of crap, leftist douchebags.